welcome back to my show. You may have already seen that I have two other interviews out there, but nonetheless, I have another great author with me here today. Hi, Christina. How are you today?
Hi, Anika. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Could you please introduce yourself and the synopsis of your latest book or any of the book you are excited about?
Sure. My name is Christina Matula, and I am a Canadian author who's currently living in Finland with my family. I am of mixed Taiwanese background, and so is the character of my book, Holly May. In the book is called The Not So Uniform Life of Holly May, and it's about 12-year-old Holly May, who is mixed Taiwanese from Canada as well, and she has to move with her family to Hong Kong for her mother's big promotion. So when she gets there, she needs to navigate a new world of private school, expectations, and friendships, but all without the guidance of her loving grandmother, Ama, who stayed behind in Canada.
That sounds amazing. So anyone out there who is interested in Christina's book, please check out her book. I'll be linking her book and her website in the description box, so you can feel free to check that out whenever you watch this episode. So Christina, the next question for you is, do you need a writing degree to get published?
No, I don't believe so. So my first book it's called The Shadow and the Moon, which is a picture book, and I was a self-taught writer. So I just started writing when I had kids, and I'd always enjoyed reading, and writing was something I fell into when I moved to Hong Kong. As I mentioned before, I'm mixed Taiwanese, so moving to Hong Kong for me really allowed me to explore my Chinese cultural heritage in a way that I didn't in Canada. And so at the time, I took a lot of Chinese classes. And when I was taking Chinese classes, I learned a lot about the culture, but also about folklore and legends. And at the same time, my daughter was in kindergarten learning about the same legends I was learning about. So I wanted to find books about those legends in English because she was learning them in Chinese. And I couldn't find them, so I decided to write a version myself. And the story in particular was about the moon goddess and the archer, which is the story about the Mid-Autumn Festival, the lunar Mid-Autumn Festival. So for me, it was more about a passion about wanting to share these legends, and I was just so excited about learning so much about my own culture, and I just really wanted to share it. And so I wrote a lot myself, and I read a lot of books about writing. I took a lot of online classes, and I did get published with a lovely publisher based in Boston called Charles Bridge. But that said, I did an MFA, with Masters in Fine Arts and Creative Writing, but I didn't need that to get published, and I did that more out of interest. I just wanted to learn more things. I love learning new things, and it did help my writing, but I don't think it would have helped my writing in terms of writing theory or how to be creative any more than reading books about it or taking online classes. So I think,
It's fantastic because I think every young writer out there is worried about the fact whether they'll be able to get published in the future just because they do not have an MFA yet, or they do not have a master's in writing degree yet, or something like that. So it's great to hear from you and saying that you do not need a degree to get published.
No, actually, sorry. I have my first degree is a biochemistry degree, and I also have an MBA. So creative writing was very different from what I started out in. And I really think if you're writing and you're passionate about writing, you're also reading a lot, because reading will help your writing. And I think if it's something you love, you're going to do it well. And I don't think you need to pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah, that's really well said, because there are many authors out there. For example, I don't really have any examples on the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there's some authors who are authors, big-time authors, yet they do not have an actual degree in writing. They have a degree in, bioengineering, how you just said right now, or in cooking or something else. They do not have it anywhere near writing, which is fine, I guess, because writing comes from inside you. You read, gain experiences from that, your own life, and just you people take writing degree classes just to improve it even more, but already the writing craft you have inside you is what you have that eventually develops as you grow older into what it is now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also having friends, they could be virtual friends or they could be like in real life friends, but who will help you read your book, but also give you constructive feedback and not just say, oh, I love it, because you need actually to know what you need to improve. And having friends you feel like you can trust with your work, and that they will also trust you with their work. And it's great. I would recommend that to anyone who is writing, whether it's at school, like maybe an after school club, a writing club, and then you share your work. And I think that's the best way to become a better writer, actually, is to share your work and listen to the feedback that you get.
That's actually fantastic. So I feel like that's basically the definition of a beta reader, but normally beta readers are paid, you have to pay for them. This is an easier way for younger writers to connect with other young writers, because if you're writing a book for younger kids, you yourself, you're a young writer, you need feedback from the people who are going to read it, as well as like an adult, because they have the experience. But I feel like you should probably, like how you said, you need a good community behind your work to make it better, because no book is better without a whole community or a whole team behind them. For example, I'm pretty sure your book needed a publisher to get published, a literary agent if you pursued the traditional route. You needed beta readers, alpha readers. You needed like a social community to showcase your book and talk about it. And even if you didn't, you had a website most likely, right? So you had these things, these tools, resources which allowed you to get your book out into the world. Without these, you probably would be not having it out there because you will not understand how to get through it. You may have learned how to do it before, but you will not just have that like skill to actually pursue this in a professional manner, since you might have been new to it to start. And since you're an adult, obviously you may have more experience than younger writers, but younger writers just need the help, even if they feel like they're good at it, because they're new to this thing. And also the like legal documents they need to fill out for getting it published. All of those things, they need a parent for it. They need someone old enough, above 18 obviously, to sign those agreements, get the book out. And most importantly, like the publishing world is full of adults. So it's like a lot of competition to actually get published as a younger writer.
Yes, that must be true. And yeah, I'm a much older writer, so my debut came out, when I was in my 40s. So yes, so I can imagine that there are quite a lot of hurdles for youngsters, but also, I feel like young writers would have maybe more grit and tenacity, and more be able to bounce back maybe more, and yeah, I think sort of like a more positive outlook on life. And
yeah, that's
actually
that would help
true, but young readers.
Yeah, because then, of course, since they're younger, they would also have more time to read. Really depends on which age group they are. If they're in the age group between elementary and middle school, they might have more time than regardless if they are high schoolers, which I am, in which their time is kind of limited. They try to fit in writing, reading in those tiny 10-minute gaps, but sometimes it's just not possible. So I guess it really is on finding the time to write. So that brings me to the next question for you. How do you find the time to write? And also, what advice would you give to high schoolers or people who do not have time to write on how they can find time?
Finding time, sometimes it's quite difficult to find time, and I can't write in 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I feel like I need to have a good 2 or 3 hours where everything is quiet and I can close the door and write. So for me, I find the time actually after I have 2 kids, and once they're in bed, I find that's actually probably my most productive time later, which is maybe not great for sleeping, but that's where I find my time, or quite early morning. And I think one thing that's really helped me is I turn off my phone, like not for calls, but I'm not distracted by any scrolling, any news, any social media. I feel like if I can turn that off, that allows my brain to relax, and then I can write more. So I know youngsters in high school, you know, the phone is, everyone's attached to their phone and it's part of life. But if you can take an hour or even maybe half an hour and just not be distracted and just turn it off, you will be able to, I think you'd be able to get a lot more out of that time than if you were constantly distracted by something.
Yes, that's actually again very well said, because even if like that advice that you just gave, it's not just good for finding the time to write, but also finding the time, like managing your time so that you can actually study for exams, study for do homework. Otherwise, you probably, like, without managing your time well, you could end up missing deadlines. These are probably the reasons why you miss deadlines, because you're distracted by other things, right? So I feel like this advice that you gave, trying to just focus on one task at a time and not juggling multiple tasks at the same time. For example, if you're reading, do not try to study at the same time. And if you're studying, do not try to read at the same time. Because
sorry, I was just going to say, it's also important for you to have a relaxed mind too. So while you're busy studying and writing, but don't forget a little downtime, a little like mental health break too. Yeah.
The other thing is that I'm pretty sure no one has ever heard of a person reading and writing at the same time. Maybe like reading a book and then writing, like with one hand typing, right?
Exactly.
So just thinking about it in that sense, it doesn't make sense for someone to be reading and doing homework at the same time. Sure, you read the question, but that's not the same as reading a book. So for someone who loves reading like me, I'm starting high school tomorrow. Tomorrow is my first
Congratulations.
year. Thank you. So then you need to like have time. So now I'm just thinking of how I'm gonna manage reading, but then I just realized in higher grades you have like English assignments where you have to read like a whole novel, and then you have to like do these assignments on prompt. Like, for example, they give you a prompt like write a memoir about something you've done recently or something like that. They give it on prompt. They do not give you like a week. Normally in middle school they give you a week to do the assignment and make it like homework class, a mix of both. But then in high school they give you on prompt, like do it right now, finish it up in half an hour. So now that's where my next question comes. What advice would you give to high schoolers or people who are being given on prompt tasks like these in writing? How do you think they should pursue the idea of getting ideas that fast?
That is a very good question, and I have been out of high school for a very long time. I like to close my eyes and think of my 5 senses and just sort of put myself in, in a setting and think about what I can see, taste, smell, touch, hear, and then from that, then develop something from that. So I just kind of close my eyes and imagine myself in one spot and then see what the surrounding is, and the surrounding will help me tell the story.
Okay, that's actually fantastic, because I think visualization in your mind, using your mind to connect to all the 5 senses, that's a great thing, because then it's kind of like putting in imagery, like how we learn in writing. Imagery is important for imagining or describing the scene. Even if it's just like simple thing, like maybe your memoir is about, I'm just giving an example of memoir. Let's say your memoir is about how you wanted to become a basketball player, but you injured yourself badly when you're a kid. So just trying to rethink what happened, especially in memoirs, because that's all about your own life, right? Sometimes you do it about your own life, sometimes you do it about someone else, but memoirs are mainly about yourself, right? So just trying to imagine or remember what happened and kind of describe it as well as you can without making it seem like it's a heavy load of like just narration, but also writing in such a way that when the teacher or someone reads it, they feel like they're actually in the memoir and actually able to experience everything.
Exactly. Yes.
Now, my last and final question for you is, this is a fun question. Do you Google yourself? And if yes, what do you find?
I do not Google myself because I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat, and I am scared that someone might write that they don't like my book, so I don't want to see that because I will be very sad. That said, when I'm tagged in posts, if someone reads the book and they like it and they tag me, I'm super happy and so pleased to connect with readers. But I haven't Googled myself since I started writing, just because I'm a little bit scared.
I guess that makes sense because like sometimes when writers and authors, they search themselves up, they're worried about what they might find. But then again, if you do not have yourself on the web, it's going to be hard for other people to find your own book, right? So in a way, yes, the website, the internet is good, but as well as bad in the same way, because the internet helps you find good books and authors to connect with, like how I did with you. And it also is bad. Sometimes you might find something you do not like on the internet, for example, like how you just said, you're worried about bad reviews, and it kind of like puts you in like a block, right? Sometimes it makes just one review. Sometimes people, I've seen on Amazon, there are these reviews like which are pretty like violent and pretty bad, right? Like some people put it nicely that they don't like it, but some people like make it really extravagant and make it like they use strong words, right? So that kind of like makes you hurt and feel like you cannot do any more writing, right? So in that sense, it kind of hurts you as well as helps you find authors and books and other things.
I mean, I definitely have a website, and I have I'm on Instagram and on Twitter. Although Twitter, I kind of am more of an observer. I don't post very much, but if I do post, I love to post about books that I've read that I really enjoy, that I recommend to other people. But I would never post something about a book that I didn't enjoy, because reading books are very subjective. And Instagram, I post, I just post a bit more about my life and fun things, but also books. So other authors and readers and people can find me on the internet, but whether I look for myself is a different question. So I don't look for myself, but other people can find me.
The other thing is that like when you are on Instagram or Twitter, over there as well, people sometimes put comments in, like when you're like writing a post, they comment on that, right? So sometimes this can be hurtful and sometimes they can be nice, but like as a writer, you're kind of like, your job is to like not take it too seriously, so that you can continue with your work and not like stop just because of a one review or two reviews which just say that your book is bad, because there's still hundreds of people who love your books.
Hope so.
Just like a general view.
Yeah, so I mean, thankfully on Instagram, it's a very happy place, so everything's been nice and positive. And what I love about the Children's Author Network is particularly in middle grade, and everyone is very supportive, and other authors support each other, and bloggers and podcasters support authors, and then authors like to share about podcasts they listen to and about other blogs they read, and it's a very nice community. So I feel very lucky to be part of it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, again, as an author, you have to make sure that like when you're writing a review, should always be good. Like only write good books, like how you said, you only put good reviews if you're putting something, because then it might become awkward if, like, let's say you put a bad review for a book and you not accidentally, but you end up meeting that author the next day. It'd be so awkward for you because you just put a bad review on Twitter or something, and the next day you meet that author.
Yeah, and like I said,
it's kind of like it's kind of like risky to do that as a writer and author, because then you might not meaning to, but like the next day if you end up seeing that author, you'll be like running for your life, because then you'll be like, oh no.
And I think in terms of reviews, if I didn't like something, I'm not going to talk about it. Won't mention it. But if I did like something, I'd like to share that. But I don't think there's any reason to give someone, personally, I don't think there's to give someone a negative review. But of course, if I'm talking to my friends privately, I might say, oh, I love this. Oh, this one's not for me. But I think a book that I didn't like, I would think it's not for me. Not that it's a bad book. It's just something, maybe my expectations were different, or maybe the style is not what I like, or the genre is not what I like, but someone else will love it. And it's
That's
not
great.
about the book.
So I had a great time talking to you, and
thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. So anyways, this is the end of the episode, guys. I'll see you all next week with a brand new episode. Stay tuned for new episodes every Sunday. Bye, guys.